The most tragic thing that has occurred in our political climate is the fact that the Republican Party is fractured. It is split right down the middle. On the far left are the progressive, liberal, democratic, if you will, Republicans. These are those who are difficult to comprehend, difficult to follow, because the things they do and the choices they make aren't based on principle or logic, but they are based on power and influence and money. Now, there are those who would say that, of course, this is a problem in Washington, but not here in conservative Idaho. Well, my friends, I beg to differ with you. Government is government. Corruption is corruption. And it is here. It is with us now. Now, on the other side of the party are the right-wing conservative Republicans. Now, these are those who have been attacked and brutalized and villainized by the Democratic Party, by our president, and by the left-wing Republican Party. And it's difficult for me to comprehend how anybody could do this, because the agenda of right-wing Republicans is simple. They simply ask that we govern ourselves according to constitutional principles. So, yesterday, March 27th, 2014, the Bannock County GOP had their Central Committee meeting, and the sole purpose of this meeting was to allow the candidates in the primary races to take a few minutes to speak. I'm running for the House of Representatives, seat 28B. So I wanted to be there. And when I called to place my name on the agenda, I contacted the chairman, Mr. Jordan Charette, and I asked to be placed on the agenda. He said no. He said, we're only allowing candidates from Bannock County to speak. I said, now hold on there. I am running for 28B. Bannock County represents the largest percentage of people in District 28B. And I need to be given an opportunity to speak, because I am a member of the Republican Party. I do attend the meetings. Well, the answer remained no. So I contacted the state GOP office, and I asked them what could be done. And they explained to me that there really are no rules, that they really can't force anything, but that they found the behavior of the Bannock County GOP to be very strange, and that they would make a phone call on my behalf. Now the question rises, why would Mr. Charette make this decision? Now the answer becomes perfectly clear when you understand that Mr. Charette is a far left Republican. He is liberal and progressive in his thoughts and in his politics. And he is backing the incumbent, Kelly Packer, who is my opponent. So by making this simple rule that no one from Power County can speak, he strengthens his candidate at the expense of another. About an hour later, Mr. Charette called me, and the first words out of his mouth was, "You've been busy, haven't you?" I said, well, no, but I won't be pushed aside, and so I did make a call. Well, he was obviously upset, but he said, okay, fine. We will put you on the agenda. So I turned up to speak, and I had my opportunity. And I'd like to share with you the words that I said, because I believe that they are important, especially when we contrast those with the words of my opponent. I said, I love the Constitution. In my view, I hold the Constitution as high as I hold the Scriptures, because both are the handiwork of the same God. And I am concerned about the way our Constitution is being used in government today. You see, I believe we're having the wrong discussion. When a bill is brought forward, it is immediately considered based on its merits. And based on those merits, that bill will either pass or fail. But it seems to me that no one ever asks the question, is this bill constitutional? And this is a huge problem. You see, I believe that every bill must first be examined, and carefully examined, in the clear light of the Constitution. And if it fails that test, the bill must be thrown out, regardless of its merits. Now I would share a few examples. Show me in the Constitution where the federal government can make my health care decisions for me. Show me in the Constitution where the federal government can mandate commerce by forcing everyone to buy a product from the private sector. Show me in the Constitution where a law can remain constitutional when it is changed time and time and time again through executive orders. And finally, show me in the Constitution where the federal government can appoint the IRS to make my health care decisions, especially when that agency hates people like me. Now, if you can't show me these things, will someone please explain to me why our Idaho State Legislature forced Obamacare on us, and why that legislature is not acting to remove the shackles of Obamacare from the people of Idaho? Because when I get to Boise, that is precisely what I will do. Show me in the Constitution where the federal government can tell me how to educate my children and my grandchildren. Show me in the Constitution where the federal government can mandate sex education. Show me in the Constitution where the federal government can, and this is the most heinous of all, mandate sexuality training that violates my parental rights and my most sacredly held principles. Now, if you can't show me these things, will someone please tell me why our state legislature isn't yelling at the top of their lungs to free Idaho from Common Core tyranny? Because you see, when I go to Boise, I will do exactly that. Now, there's a new type of abortion out there. It's called medical abortion, and this is where a woman swallows a few pills that causes her body to expel the child. Now, we can't really track this. We don't know how many babies are being butchered through this, because in many places these drugs can be ordered online and then shared with friends, family. Now, last year, when it became evident that the health care exchange was going to become law in Idaho, Idaho Chooses Life, with the assistance of a few legislators, brought forward an amendment to the health care exchange. Now, this amendment simply gave people who purchase insurance the right to include or exclude coverage for medical abortions. You see, it didn't force anybody to do anything. It gave them choice. Choice that we may define as liberty or maybe even freedom. Now, show me in the Constitution where the government can force me to purchase insurance coverage for a service that I will never use and for a service that I find morally reprehensible. And if you can't do that, will someone please explain to me why the Idaho State Legislature blocked this amendment? Because when I go to Boise, I will fight for every bill that increases freedom in Idaho. Now, we have a long ways to go, and I can't do this alone. You in this room hold the keys. If you believe that the Constitution is sacred and that it must be followed, you can take this message into your precincts. You can teach the electorate what the Constitution means and how it is supposed to be used, and you can show them how the Constitution is being ignored in Washington and in Boise. And then maybe, just maybe, we can win our state back and ultimately our country by simply returning to constitutional principles. End of speech. Then, my opponent, Kelly Packer, stood, and she flashed her pretty smile, and she immediately began to recite her resume. She told us about growing up in Idaho and loving the state. She told us about serving on beautification committees. She told us about this and that. But what she never touched on, never even touched on, was an issue. And I had just named 3 very serious issues where she violated the Constitution and betrayed the people of Idaho. But she doesn't want to talk about these things. Now, there was a question and answer period after each speech. I had to face the people, as did the other candidates, and I had a question for Kelly Packer, and it would have specifically applied to that amendment, which limits the freedom of people in Idaho and kills babies. But I will tell you this. When Kelly was done, Mr. Charette said, "Are there any questions?" "Good, thank you, Kelly." And she was released without ever having to face the crowd. Now, after the meeting, I stopped Mr. Charette and I asked him, why are you doing these things? Why are you attempting to block me? And his answer was simply this. He said, "My priority is the candidates from Bannock County, and I don't care about candidates from Power County." I find this very interesting and very telling. You see, I would have thought that the Bannock County Republican Party would want the citizens of Bannock County to hear all of the options, to hear from all of the candidates, so that they can choose for themselves what is right and what is appropriate for them. I find it interesting that Mr. Charette will vote for a candidate not based on the stand they take, not based on the issues, not based on anything else other than the physical address of that candidate. Now, I don't know for certain, but I would bet everything that the citizens of Bannock County are sick and tired of politics as usual. I would bet that they want to hear from the candidates, and they want someone who will stand on principle and fight for them. And they don't want people who misuse power to block them from hearing the truth. As much as I love the Constitution, I hate corruption. And I will expose corruption every time I have the opportunity. And I will tell you this. Corruption exists in the GOP in Washington, and corruption exists just as seriously, just as dangerously, just as damagingly right here in Bannock County. Now, I would make one thing perfectly clear. There is a group of conservative Republicans who are fighting for principle, for constitutional awareness. And these are good and honorable and decent patriots. They are working to reclaim the Republican Party. And I honor them. I honor their work. I honor their effort. I honor their dignity. I'm Lance Earl. I'll see you soon.